Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Eisenhart? Here. Mrs. Herzog? Here. Mr. Hohenschild?
Here.
Mrs. Hune? Here. Mr. Reitenauer?
Here.
Mr. Sheets? Mr. Stubitz?
Here.
Mrs. Walliser? Here. Mr. Wagaman?
Here.
8 present.
Perfect, thank you. Moving on to recognition.
Perfect. So we have a few recognitions this evening. The first one we'd like to recognize is Megan Dufresne. So Megan had the chance to represent the school district. Annually, the BCIU does a BCIU art showcase, and they do it as part of their school board recognition month, and they do that for the 18 school district representatives that go to the BCIU. They reach out to the school districts and ask each school district to have one individual represent their school district and create an art piece. This year, Megan represented our school district and did a phenomenal job, and you can see her piece right here. And so we wanted to take a moment and recognize you. So Megan, if you don't mind coming up here with Mr. Jinich. Congratulations, first of all. You did a phenomenal job with this. It is beautiful. A little biased, but I think it was the best thing in the there is the actual art piece that was given to Mrs. Hune as our school board representative there on the table, but we did have a blown up version. Just a little bit. There also is, I think this is the other way, I'm sorry. This is the information you have put in there about what this meant to you. So do you mind just sharing a little bit about what you did and your thought process and behind your artwork there?
Well, the theme was we shine together, and I kind of felt like the gray hand in the night sky, like it's dark, and then, like the person in the sun, they're like reaching out to the gray one, and they're like lighting them up. It's kind of rad.
It's beautiful. You did an amazing job. It's phenomenal.
Just a couple of cool things. So every year there is the theme. And as Megan said, this year that theme was Together We Shine, which is neat. But the other piece is once the piece is selected, it will hang in the boardroom of the BCIU with the 16 other students that are chosen. And it stays there for a portion of a year. So while we have a representative every year, I thought what was really cool this year is in my time as high school principal, I don't believe I've ever had a 9th grade student's artwork be the one that was featured. And so to see the piece, first off, I'm always amazed at what the students can produce artistically because I could barely make a stick figure myself. But then on the other side, that it is from a student who is so young in the program already and has such a big future ahead of her, I think really speaks to her talent and just how proud we are of her accomplishment.
Mrs. Hune, do you want to share anything?
Well, it's 17 other school districts, so it's 18 around the county, and I would echo that. It's very uncommon that a freshman student whose piece will be selected. So it does reflect the level of talent and expertise, and it will hang in the BCIU main office conference room for the entire school, for the entire calendar year. So until next January. They do it in recognition of National School Directors Month, and the BCIU gives each of us representatives this piece. It's been my habit and honor to donate it back, my copy back to the high school so that it could be hung somewhere that Mr. Jinich and the art program think that it's appropriate. So I would like to give this to you.
I'll let Megan
also, yeah, Megan, there's also a small copy. I don't know if you got one for yourself. I didn't. Yeah, so you may keep that or this one, whatever. You can duke it out with the boss man there. Congratulations.
If you get a moment, actually, on the BCIU website,
Yes.
the show from the evening, it's a virtual show. It's still posted, and so there is a YouTube link. It's probably about 15 minutes in length that features each of the students and each of the pieces all across the county.
Huge congratulations to you. I am so impressed with your talent. I'm so excited to see what you're going to do in the next couple of years. And thanks for joining, parents.
Hey everyone, congratulations, Mr. Frayne. I just want to take a moment to recognize and thank the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. As is our tradition, we like to recognize any grant awards bestowed on the school district. And our FFA and agriculture program was awarded a $7,500 grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. I'm sorry, the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. The grant is titled Poultry Science, but poultry science is our fancy way of saying chicken coop. So we are getting a fully functioning chicken coop for our ag program as we are working through our large and small veterinary science classes. So we will be working with Oli Feed to procure a chicken coop for the program. And then what I think is really neat is this agriculture program continues to grow in the school district. This is something that our high school FFA students can work with our intermediate students as they work on embryology, and then work also with our elementary students when obviously we look at the whole chicken process and eggs and everything like that. So we are excited that this is something that is bestowed on our high school ag program, but is something that can benefit the students district wide. So as we are in that second year of our ag program, just another great opportunity for our students at the high school. So a big thank you to the Department of Agriculture on everything that Ms. Sheeler does to support our FFA program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have another phenomenal student that has done remarkable things within the school district and has set an amazing record. And that is Nathan Winkler. Nathan, we're going to have you come up. Nathan scored 1,000 points in his high school career.
Thank you, Mr. Potter, Board of Directors. So yes, Mr. Winkler, as you can see here, battle and bruised. That's kind of been his one of his legacies here. Nate, always gets right back up. He works hard. He perseveres. And this accomplishment just speaks volumes to this young man. Again, met him last year. We spoke. This was one of the things that he would like to accomplish here. Wasn't easy, but he did it last Thursday against Kutztown High School on their court, which Kutztown was very gracious with allowing us to celebrate him. So at 8:19, Nate scored his 1,000th point on a layup, right-handed. So super proud of him. I know his parents, Dan and Maria, were also in attendance. Really proud of him. Coach Mosley has done a fantastic job of just guiding this young man, shaping him. We're really excited to see what Nate does after his time here. But again, he's the 9th person in Brandywine Heights area school district history to have his name up on that banner that says 1,000 points. So Nate, again, proud of you. Congratulations. And this ball is to commemorate his 1,000 points. We will get it dated because we knew he would do it, but didn't know when. So Nate, congratulations again, buddy. Proud of you.
Coach Mosley, would you like to share anything? Put you on the spot.
Yeah. Echo exactly what Michael said. I mean, the record stands for itself, but Nate is just a fantastic kid off the court. He sets a good example, especially as a senior captain and a 3-year captain now. So as good as he is with setting records and all his accolades on the court, that alone, I mean, his record off the court stands.
And Nate, do you want to share a little bit about what you're doing next? So I know Mr. Pinelli talked about your next steps and seeing where you're going to go, but do you want to share a little bit about what your next steps are?
Yeah, so I'll be going to King's College.
Everyone's
I'm going to Nashville at King's College and being a part of the PA program.
awesome. You're going to do great stuff. Congratulations. And then Nate is joined by his parents here this evening and also friends. So congratulations, Nate. Really proud of you. Both Megan and Nate, if we can get some pictures with you back at the step and repeat back there before you head out, would be wonderful. We're going to transition. We like to do our New Heights Award. Our New Heights Award is an opportunity to recognize staff members each month that are essentially like the employees of the month. And it gives us a chance to, anyone could be recognized throughout the course of a month. It is staff members can recognize fellow staff members, parents can recognize staff members, students can recognize staff members, and it gives us a chance to celebrate the accomplishments and wonderful people we have working here in this school district. And so this evening, our first recognition is Jennifer Reimer. And I'm going to read why, Jen, why don't you come up? I'm going to read why Jen was recognized. Jen is always willing to go above and beyond. She is so helpful and always has a smile on her face. Example, Jen is a great team member and a pleasure to work with. And just as a small accolade, I called her in a panic today because I was trying to get in the board agenda and my Google Docs was not opening. She came up and was like, "Oh, you had your laptop screen open, you dumb dumb." I just closed it for you and it's working now. Okay, great. Thanks, Jen. She's phenomenal. Always there, willing to help. And Carly, I think, has a few words to share.
So Jen has been with us for 4 years. She started through Nimble IT and was originally one of our IT technicians on site, supporting students and staff with their devices and our network infrastructure. In a short time here, within a year, she was promoted to lead technician through Nimble. At the same time that I became our director of technology. And she has been my support, my go-to for whatever we might need as a district. She's very flexible. At the drop of a hat, if we need something's not working, she's always able to stop by, run back. She lives right in town, so she's able to be close for us, and always willing to go out of her way to support anybody, which is important with technology when things often do not go as expected. So we're very grateful to have her. She's helped shape our technicians as well. Our big goal is customer service. Our students and our teachers and our staff are our customers. So making sure that they're happy and they're supported to be able to provide instruction is so important. And she's done a wonderful job guiding our 2 technicians in how to be good customer service representatives and make sure that we can support all of our staff. So thank you for being a great teammate.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you want to go grab a snap picture?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go back real quick. So next up for our New Heights Award is a dynamic duo. It is 2 of our pre-K staff members. So Amanda and Sarah, if you don't mind coming up. And as they come up, this is why they were recognized. This comes from a parent. I feel so blessed to have 2 wonderful ladies as my son's pre-K teachers. They truly go above and beyond every single day. Amanda's lessons are so creative and she teaches in a way that kids actually understand. They're engaged, they're having fun, and they're learning the whole time. My son has grown by leaps and bounds in the classroom, and I genuinely believe it has been life-changing for him. He went from a shy little boy hanging on my hip with a serious speech delay to knowing his colors, shapes, letters, and the year is only halfway through. I can't wait to see the rest of the year and what hold next for him under their instruction. I will forever be grateful for the impact they've made on our lives.
Wow, that was a very well said nomination. So I am honored to recognize our dynamic duo this evening. They bring fun, care, organization, and so much heart into the classroom every single day. You hear this a lot, but the room runs like a well-oiled machine because of the clear expectations and routines that they've built. And as a result, the students are confident, independent, and fully engaged throughout their school day. I bet if you ask Cam here in the audience here, he could tell you all of the rules, when you could go to different stations or centers throughout the day, what's allowed and what's not allowed. Mrs. Pottiger's expertise and knowledge of early childhood education, coupled with her loving and silly demeanor, connect so naturally with her students. Families trust that their children will grow in her care, not only academically, but socially and emotionally. And what stands out most is the way that she celebrates her students and creates space where our youngest learners feel safe, loved, and really excited to come to school. And Mrs. Deal's supportive role in the classroom is instrumental in its daily success. Like Mrs. Pottiger, she is incredibly patient, caring, kind, and supportive of every student. She can always be counted on to step in at a moment's notice, whether it means taking the lead, dividing and conquering during busy times, or helping a substitute teacher feel comfortable and prepared. She's a steady, positive president who helps keep everything running smoothly. And as mentioned in the nomination, as expected in the beginning of the school year, some of our pre-K students can be hesitant, a little or a lot tearful coming in the door, but it really doesn't take long before those same students are eagerly dumping their grown-ups to run into the door to meet their teachers for the day. Their teamwork makes a lasting impact on our students, and we're so lucky to have them at our school. So I'm proud to work with both of you. Thank you for all you do.
So I actually nominated you too. And I just want to say how grateful I am for that, everything you do for that little guy over there. He has grown by leaps and bounds being in that classroom. And the lessons that they teach, oh my gosh, they made homemade butter the other day. You guys are so, like, it's amazing. Amazing the change. I can't describe how much he has changed since starting. So I will never be able to say thank you enough.
All right, so here's your mug.
Thank you so much.
And your mug. Run over and take a picture quick. I think up next is our student board reports, and this evening we do not have any student board reports because every student is at an athletic event or some other event. So we will move on to the next promotion. The next portion of the agenda this evening is to have a presentation from Mr. Zach Harris. Mr. Harris works with Hillendale Associates. So let me just bring a little context to where we are and kind of why this presentation is happening this evening. So the school district currently for a healthcare provider belongs to the Berks County Health Trust. It's been a long-standing partner with Berks County Health Trust. It's been a great relationship. It's provided excellent healthcare coverage while at the same time being a great resource for all our members, staff members here within the school district. And that's our support staff, it's our teachers, as well as our administrators. And so we are part of a consortium. The consortium is for the entire county, but we've also have taken some time to reflect on that relationship with the Health Trust and started evaluating benefits, costs associated with healthcare, and have decided to look at some potential options for the school district. And so part of that investigation was to interview 4 different companies that essentially are like an insurance broker. And when we go through an insurance process, you're looking at stop loss insurance, protecting against high claims. You're looking at your actual health care, and then you're looking at medical prescription drugs. Those are the 3 main factors. That's what the Health Trust works with now, and that's what they're doing on behalf of all the member districts that are part of it. If we would move on our own, we'd be doing that individually. And so we need a partner to help us through that process. And again, through an investigatory process, interviewing 4 different companies with staff partners, we have decided that Hillendale Associates provides the best partnership for us. They provide the best partnerships for several reasons. They were the most data driven in terms of really wanting to know our detailed specific claim information to be able to really understand and hone in what's best for the school district. They seem to be the most forward-facing organization that met with us and talked about what it looks like for claims, what it looks like for us to potentially move away as a individual healthcare. They also talked about getting as much information as possible, going out to the market and trying to get us some real numbers of what it would look like if we left, so we can make an educated decision. And I think the really the most important piece is from a collective committee group Mr. Harris provided the best level of support for the team, for the district moving forward. Everyone felt very comfortable with Mr. Harris and what he brought to the table. So, with that being said, I asked him to share a little bit about what he has to bring to the organization, so the board can understand this process and understand what he has from a next steps, just so you understand some kind of timelines associated with this. If approved tonight, Mr. Harris will start to work on gathering all our district information from the Health Trust to be able to go to market and give us some clear understanding, or the best understanding as possible, by late spring of what it could look like if we went on our own. Additionally, kind of running parallel to that, he's going to do some education work with our staff, because what this process is really intended to do is not shoehorn a decision, not shove a decision down anyone's throat, but really educate. We want to be as transparent as possible. We want to educate our staff, and Mr. Harris has talked about that process of educating and being our partner through that education process. And so we'll do that education process through the spring as well, kind of running parallel, gathering that data, and then be able to have a official vote with our staff in the late May, early June timeframe. And if decided to move away from the Health Trust, we would bring that to the board for a vote, and then we would officially decide to move away from the Health Trust June 30th of this year. That would take a full calendar year, fiscal calendar year, so until June 30 the following year, to actually go on our own. So even though we would say June 30 of this year that we're going to go away from the Health Trust, it would take a full calendar year. We won't be able to do that until 2027. So all of this takes time. This is the first step to that, is finding a valued partner. We feel like we found that valued partner. And now the next step is to educate, be transparent, and let staff know the steps along the way, what it means for them as individual consumers of healthcare, and what that means in the Health Trust versus what it means if the district will go on our own. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Harris. This is Mr. Zachary Harris. Hopefully I didn't steal too much of your thunder with that introduction, but I will turn it over to you. I believe everyone should be able to see. So we had a little bit of a technology hiccup this evening because we can't present the presentation on here while live streaming to YouTube. So I'm going to present over on that screen. So those that are right behind you, sorry, this is Walleyes or Mr. Right Now, but the presentation will be right behind you. And Mr. Harris, I'll turn it over to you at this point. Nope, hang on 1 second. We can't hear you. You're not on mute by chance, are you?
Oh, no.
Give me 1 second. Carly, Sammy. Where's Jen?
Click that and then click on your speakers. Yep.
All right. Now can you talk?
Best.
Oh, so much better.
Excellent. So thank you so much, Mr. Poniger, for having us. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. It's really a blessing to be able to see and speak with all of you. I was intending on being there in person, actually, but there was a bit of a snow scuffle that derailed that. So again, my apologies for not being able to make it in person today. I'm going to share my screen momentarily, but really what I'd like to do as a function of having this presentation is to just have a dialogue with you about what our role is. And I'm going to use some slides as a function of educating you on how we go about a process that acts as an extension of both the membership as well as the district, right? So we don't work for any one insurance company. We're not looking to motivate you into any one avenue or another. This is purely a research exercise to get as much information as possible and then make an informed decision as to what can be done in the near and the future so that we can all, frankly, utilize the benefits as intended. So with that in mind, I am going to share my screen. If you don't mind, can you please confirm when you can see it, please?
I don't see it yet.
No, not yet.
We tested it earlier and it was working great.
Yeah.
We promise we did.
Let's see here. I'm going to try something. Hopefully this works. Bear with me just a moment if you don't mind. How about now?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to do my best to drive on my laptop. There's a bit of a delay, so if anybody has an issue or whatever, please just shout it out. I can't see what you guys see. That being said, so again, my name is Zachary Harris. I'm actually the managing partner of Hillendale Associates. We are part of the Daybreak Financial organization. You may know many of our sister companies throughout the state of Pennsylvania, but really the purpose of today is going to be to go over, frankly, the process that we went through to partner with Brandywine Heights and talk about how over the last 50 years of our company history, we built what we believe is a process using a philosophy to engage with as many people as possible to make as many informed decisions as we can. Ergo, then also making sure that when we make a decision to change in any capacity, that every person is on board and understands why we're doing that to the betterment of both the collective as well as the individual. So as I go through that, I want to just bring up on the screen who the dedicated team of individuals are. And you'll notice here that everyone on this page is someone that has a lot of Pennsylvania school district experience. What I mean by that is we're not folks that are coming in trying to push individual products. We're not trying to sell anything. We're also not, new to the industry. It's a very complicated industry of healthcare. And frankly, with that, we act as an intermediary using our respective individually 20 or more years of experience. To be very transparent in my background specifically, I've been actually doing this for 20 years in 2026. So I'm very familiar with school districts. My team is comprised of many people are as well. And when we partner with any one district, we really do that as a function of trying to take the burden off of anyone with any task. It doesn't matter how menial. So if a member comes to us and says, hey, my insurance ID card has a misspelling, I need a new one, we take care of that. The other side of it, your renewal comes out. You're facing a 14%, not uncommon, 14% increase in your medical care, right? These are things that we look at to then leverage, manage, negotiate, and install while educating on how best practices in consumerism can drive more value, both to the district in terms of claims, as well as to the individual members utilizing the health. So why I bring up this slide specifically is really kind of 2 points. First of all, we're not new kids on the block. We've been doing what we do for 50 years. This past year, 2025, we have an average client relationship of our school districts of over 20 years of retention. And when you compare our sister company, Kate Margolis, who does a lot of wealth management, 403B planning, et cetera, we have 700 employer groups in PA, 499 of the 501 of which are Pennsylvania school districts. But what I'm especially proud of is we really try to blend on culture. We don't pick up any group. We're not looking to meet some sort of corporate margin or stock price. We are a privately held enterprise. And as a function of trying to bond on that culture that we have, which Brandywine Heights, we believe, exhibits wonderful proactivity and thought leadership, we retain every group that we've worked with since 2020. We have only grown, we've not lost because of that partnership model. As a function of why a lot of folks tend to choose working with our firm as the arm of Daybright in Pennsylvania, the first of which is again, we're privately held. And what that means is we're not answering to Wall Street. We're not trying to look at corporate deals that would make more sense for you and helps us simultaneously. We really try to use our scale. We're quite large. In fact, nationally, with all of our 60 partner firms, we actually have 52% of the United States school districts as current clients in some way, shape, or form. And we bring that scale down market to the individual school districts, such as yourself, to perform the task of assessing data. And so if we're going to go through that, the way in which we do it, which I'll go over in just a few minutes, is based on the outline of which you help us to create. We're not laying out what we believe is a template. We're doing the fact finding with you to create the goal, create the timeline, and then try to implement that based on the best data available to us. So I skipped the slide, go back a second. So why I want to show this slide is this is actually a common listing of many of the insurance carriers that we work with in Pennsylvania schools today. And why I'm sharing this with you is because the ones that I'm going to focus on with the analysis is up here when we get to that point, because you haven't looked, frankly, as an individual school district. And so knowing what's available is half the battle. And as we look at this, I also want to point out that we have a lot of proprietary programs with all of these respective carriers, meaning we're not allegiant to one versus the other. We will only ever recommend to you what we believe is based on your data, the best fit for you and your staff. As a function of that, we will scour the market and look at any viable option that we believe is something that could be a fit, and ergo then consider that for the future. One of the other things I bring up as a function of this slide is to show that we are in partnership with many of the existing Pennsylvania school district entities that you see. And so by being either endorsed by, sponsored by, or in some way in partnership with any one of these, it goes to show that our expertise is really predicated around the public sector, specifically school districts in Pennsylvania. So I share this with you because when you look at this slide, I think it just kind of puts everything that I said together, which is we cater to a very small niche within the Pennsylvania segment of employer groups. Public sector and nonprofit groups are very unique. And as a function of being unique with various regulation around, being a non-ERISA plan, typically being larger, looking at various arrangements around your CBAs, for example, navigating those waters in the insurance world can be very nuanced. And so we've built a model that we believe works as a function of being able to give more information to those folks to make very important decisions. Meaning, when you look at the budget of any one school district, benefits are typically number 2, right behind payroll. And so we take this very seriously to be able to act as an extension of the district as if we are working there in any capacity that we can. So some of the partnership items that we wanted to cover as a function of being hopefully appointed to work with you is first and foremost, doing the work, rolling up our sleeves, asking the hard questions of the trust, of the insurance carriers, the third-party administrators, and assessing where you are relative to your peers in the market. Literally benchmarking everything from your plan designs, your contribution strategies, available products out there, and then putting in a map strategy of looking at what the market could bear with changes that don't disrupt what you currently provide to your employees. As a function of why most employers offer benefits, it's worth noting that it's used as an attraction and retention tool. And so if it's not providing or achieving one, if not both of those things, it's failing. And so we want to assess that as a function of also speaking to the employees, talking with them, surveying them, making sure they know they have an outlet via our firm to ask any question that they have and or advocate for them when and or if they have a claim or something that goes wrong. And then as a function of the other components that really go over the life cycle, we're looking at ways in which we can have higher touch, higher value, higher appreciation for the benefits that are in place and consider others that might be a good fit as well. All of those things, of course, shrouded around end-to-end compliance. There is never going to be a program, a recommendation, a process that we're going to in any way show you that does not meet at least federal and government standards. So we'll also go over all of those pieces as well. So our process, right, as promised, is built for Brandywine Heights. I want to be very clear when I bring this up. I've, as the managing partner for the last 5 years at Hillendale, built our business around the mantra of there is no cookie cutter Pennsylvania school district, so there should not be a cookie cutter answer that we provide to anyone either. As a function of these respective pieces that you see here, you'll notice that we're not recommending anything to you currently. We're not suggesting that you can save 7% on your cost because we just don't know. Part of gathering this piece of the data-driven underwriting capabilities and researching what's possible via the analysis provides, via these 3 reports that you see here, how and when you need to review the data as it's available, not just when it's time for your renewal. And so we provide that reporting to you in an aggregated environment that's easy to understand and interpret. What I tend to also show is we're not looking to work with the district because of the district administration. We think that there's wonderful people that work there currently. I've met with some of them already, and we very much engage with you on that cultural dynamic. But what's really what we're trying to do is serve the employees. Right? And so we want to give them an outlet to feel as though that they have the financial wellness enablement to be able to touch on any one item over the course of their compensation journey with Brandywine Heights. So as we look at really kind of the continuum or the life cycle of an employee in a school district, we want to be that go-to contact for them through education and provide them the answers to their questions. Some of the complexities that we go over are listed here. These are things that really at the board level, you may never know or hear of, but these are things on a daily basis that we take care of to keep the plan in compliance. And the reason we do that is because we, as a fiduciary of your program, are held to a higher standard. We're not just brokering a program, we are looking over it as a true consultant. And that's something I'll get into relative to our agreement that we've struck, hopefully, to start working with you towards the end of this presentation. And then last but not least, I'm going to show just really quickly some of the call center information that we have. It's located right here in Harrisburg, and we measure every call to make sure that every person knows that they have the capability to go in and speak with a real human being. We love the idea of what tech can do, but at the end of the day, people want to speak with people. And so we're very proud of the fact that they'll have a dedicated number that's just for them based on their benefits. So how do we get there and what do we do? So what you're seeing here today is really a very high level snippet of the items that we propose working on for Brandywine Heights based on what we know today, the objectives that we heard your leadership team bring to us, and then some of the components by which we would perform some of the functions to get you that information relative to the recommendation that we would hope to make when we have the information on hand. So you'll notice there's a hodgepodge of really everything from looking at your benefits and providing the best ones possible to negotiating the carriers that provide those respective benefits to you year in and year out, and then looking at ways in which we can play around, for lack of a better term, with the funding, meaning maybe the consortium isn't the best option. So as Mr. Pottinger said, we can all have an informed decision as to where does our data tell us we are, and where does that roadmap lead us in the future so that we can make an educated guess as to where we're going to be. I say a guess because no one has a crystal ball, no one knows the future, but if we are informed as to what we can do relative to our reporting, as you can see here, which we provide on a monthly basis to the administration team, we have a much better idea as to what, where, and why we are going. So I'm going to bring this up for just a moment. These are the various ways in which our process is followed. So you're going to see here that we break down very transparently what our team will actually do, even when you're not doing something as a function of that task. And when we speak with your team about how we go about doing it, we're always in alignment about the timeline that we're going to deliver it on. Really, the part that I'm going to draw your attention to in this, to be very specific, because it's what applies to you right now, is right here. The discovery call, to discuss all of the things that we need to more adequately map out the project scope and then conduct the analysis to be able to provide all of these other components relative to your data on hand today. So again, showing you a literal roadmap as to where to go. One of the other things that I'm going to bring up just as we get closer to the end of this is I will bring up some examples that we've also touched on. I'll touch on that in a second. But when you can expect to look at some of the more complex marketing components of this, you're going to see here, and these are very real snapshots from groups that we have right now, as to how we assess the different components of what makes a program, right? So a member, for example, goes to the pharmacy, pays for a prescription, and leaves. They don't see the back end of how all those components of the claim, the provider, the pharmacy, all that comes together. We aggregate that on your behalf. We audit that on a month-to-month basis, and then we hold the carriers to a higher standard to say, hey, there's a discrepancy here. This member is actually owed money back. They already hit their maximum out of pocket for the year. They shouldn't have paid for that drug. This is a way in which we do that. And then when we do our recommendation based on the marketing components that we do and the advocacy throughout the year, we make recommendations based upon what's available in the market. We are never going to say that there's a strategy out in California that we think is a neat new shiny object, you should try it. Nope. If it's not tried and true, if it doesn't exist in the Pennsylvania school market or couldn't, we will not recommend it. So as promised, here's a case study that I was going to share. This is actually a very close school district to you, similar in size and scope, that really came about. It's actually in Lehigh County specifically, but the current trusts that we work with all over Pennsylvania include the Southeastern Pennsylvania Trust, Delaware Healthcare Trust, Bucks County Information Trust. We also have a few sister groups of yours for other lines of coverage in the Berks County Healthcare Trust. And then actually we have two in the NEPA Trust, Northeastern PA, and we have a great many in the Allegheny School County Healthcare Trust. So we're no stranger to the idea of consortiums in Pennsylvania, but when you look at putting together what tends to come out of the trust, which can be very difficult from the data perspective, there's results that you can drive just from looking. And so what I wanted to show you here is there are some big numbers on this page. And the reason that there's a lot of big numbers is because these are not small cost items. The benefits that Mr. Pottinger brought up are really the three core components and frankly, what makes up any major healthcare program. So the stop loss is the reinsurance side of the world when you're self-funded. Then there's the medical plan, and then typically there's prescription. And as you can see here, I wanted to make sure that you can very pictographically understand that not only are there savings to be realized, but there's ways in which you can keep the benefits the same and expose different programs to leverage those back to the district. Okay. So as promised, here's really the ethos of the presentation that I'm going to share today. This is a cyclical wheel of the things that we do throughout the course of the year as a partner to Brandywine Heights. That we are not the type of an environment from a cultural perspective that, you know, markets your plans, conducts a renewal, and then does open enrollment and walks away for the other 9 months. That's not how we operate. And we've walked away from plenty of opportunities as a function of not wanting to be that transaction. So really where we are on this continuum is right here, step one. And so the timing here, and I commend the Brandywine Heights leadership team, is perfect because you're coming into the timing where your rates are going to start to be finalized for your upcoming renewal. You should have them sometime between mid-February, early March. And so why all of this becomes conclusive based on the step before it is you can't do one without the other. As you're probably seeing here, this is meant to be something that is not rinse and repeat. It's analyze, assess, and then act. And so as a function of those, I call it the 3 A's, this is a way in which we map out how we get there and keep each other accountable to make sure we're in lockstep as we conduct this analysis. So some of the other things that we provide behind the scenes to reassure you on how those compliance functions work are the things here that round out the services that otherwise the district would be liable for today. So whether you contract a third-party administrator, you're relying on the trust, or you pay some sort of internal process, these are things that we will keep in mind, monitor, and provide resources for if we don't conduct them directly based on our agreement with you in the future. So I talked about the life cycle. This is step one where we are today. Our goal is to be able to get to step 3, as Andrew mentioned earlier, relative to the aggregation of what that respective information is, right? So gathering that does take some time. Unfortunately, our industry is quite slow. So even if we work fast, we are at the mercy of the carriers to give us what we need. Eventually, we would go through this year specifically, working alongside it. We're not looking to make any changes in 2026 whatsoever. Frankly, we'd love to learn how the district behaves, what the employees are looking for, right? So just like they teach in elementary school, 2 of these, 1 of these, right? So we want to listen first. We want to survey the employees. We want to educate them on what they have today and see what they find valuable, and then look at all the gaps. What can we do during the upcoming implementation and renewal process to be able to build back into the plan for 27, assuming that we are going to explore leaving the trust or not, and how that would affect what we offer today. And then as we get there, again, keeping the employees in the loop. So the first thing we're going to do is really inform the employees on what we're considering doing. And again, my hat's off to Andrew and the rest of the team who frankly came up with the idea to make this a partnership environment. And so we're very excited. In fact, I actually have a flyer I can show you as well as a PowerPoint built for that very meeting already, because we want that employee engagement from the get-go. Following up on that is the monitoring, as I mentioned, on a monthly basis. looking at how the plan is performing, getting the data together to present that to you, and then giving you that information to say, hey, how are we doing versus where we forecasted we would be? That way, again, no surprises come the end of the year. So this is what the information summary gave us as of today. You'll notice it seems very rudimentary, but you've never gotten this before. So I share this with you because when you look at what the data is coming out of the trust, you have to look at it autonomously and agnostically of the trust if that's your consideration. So you can see here, mapped by plan offering, by month, how many people are enrolled in what. It gives you a great understanding of, is there any differences in buying patterns? Are there differences in utilization or class size? And then as you scroll even further, what we've already done is assess the amount of claims dollars that are being paid to try to find patterns or trends, especially between class codes, plan designs, or better yet, time of the year, right? Not uncommon for school districts to actually have a surge in enrollment, towards September, October, when back to school comes and a lot of new hires come. So again, ergo, claims should follow that. These are the types of things we're already starting to do as a function of hopefully working with Brandywine and providing additional insight. Same exact exercise on the prescription side. You might notice the numbers here are actually surprisingly larger than the medical. That's typically because prescription drugs, especially if they're not generic, are much more expensive. And so you're going to see these numbers, if action is not taken, probably continue to creep up, as especially the evolution of things like GLP-1s takes effect. So where we are based on what we have versus what we need gives you a good snapshot of that right now. And this is what we provided to the school district when we were interviewing, to really not hold anything back and say, this is a baseline. So in order to do the work, this is what we're going to have to start to gather in order to really give you an informed picture of where you are and map out where you want to go. So you'll notice we don't have much, right? And I say that because, again, knowing what to ask for is half the battle. So that's where we propose allow us to do what we do on your behalf. This is not work you should be paying to do or paying somebody else. Same thing, again, on the current ancillary lines. So while the focus is certainly on stop loss, medical, and prescription, we want to help on the other lines too. Dental, vision, life, disability. If we can find money or better programs somewhere, we're going to do it. And so as a function of that, we are lumping in all of our services and expertise for all of your benefits in one place. So the recommendations that I made really are based on our promise, right? If we don't deliver, then by definition, you don't pay us. And so what we suggested as a timeline, which again, Andrew did a really nice job of laying out as part of my introduction, is let us roll up our sleeves and do the work. And while we're doing that, as a commitment to you in good faith, we'll do it pro bono. So the agreement that I actually structured and sent to Andrew Pryor is really based upon us essentially working for free through June. So even if we're awarded the ability to start working with you formally come March 1st, which we hope to do, we're willing to literally put our money where our mouth is to try to find you money between now and then, so that when we have the opportunity to make changes, there's a benefit to you. We're not paid for that. Again, in good faith, we want to be a partner to you. We don't want to be a vendor. And so in order to do that, we are trying to say our time is valuable, your time is valuable, but let's learn how we can make use of our time together. And then once we have that information, as you can see here, make actionable steps in late spring or thereabout, assuming we get what we need, to assess a feasibility study on what next steps could be taken on or before, obviously, July 1st of 2026 or 2027. That said, I was told I had about 10 minutes or so. I was a little over. I'm very sorry about that, but I wanted to make sure I covered as much as I could. I'm happy to take any questions that come up and stay as long as you need me for. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Harris, for doing it. Dave, do you want to share anything? I know you've led this process in other school districts. Anything you want to add from your expertise?
We did work with Hillendale, and they, just like Zach said, they are a partner. They really care about the school district succeeding and making decisions and working with the teachers union as well as the administration and the school. So, they work with a lot of schools, and they've been very successful at what they do.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, I at some point, if you don't mind sharing this presentation with me, just because the technology was a little bit challenging. We had to do it on a smaller screen, unfortunately, but that way I can share it out with our school board if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I'll have that to you in a couple minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions from the board? Now, this agreement that he spoke to is on the agenda for this evening. It's in the business section, but we wanted to do the presentation up front just to keep the board informed of what was happening through our presentation process. Questions? Okay. Oh, you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I need my mic on for him to hear me or?
If you can't hear me, I'll relay the question.
Okay, so you talked a lot about serving Pennsylvania schools. Can you tell us who you've worked with in Berks County and in what capacity?
Yeah, so for public consumption, I'm not sure that I have the permission to share the schools in a forum like this, but I did provide a listing of that to Andrew and Andrea prior to this meeting, which they're happy to share with you if that's possible.
Okay, that would be helpful, certainly. Have you worked specifically with the Berks County Health Trust? You mentioned that you had worked with other health trusts and consortiums. What interactions over the lifespan of your company have you had with Berks County's Health Trust?
Yeah, it's a good question. Short answer is arm's length by design. I'm very familiar with the players that are involved in that trust, as is my company. We do represent, as I had mentioned, a few different school districts that are participating in that today. And so I'll speak as diplomatically as possible when I say that the trust is a very insulated vehicle by design. And so as a function of us providing services to the member school districts that we have today, we provide as much insight as we can relative to the confines of the trust agreement. And so short answer to your question is they have their own consultant. As we work for the individual schools versus the trust itself, we advise the schools based on the data available, just like we would for Berks County. I'm sorry, for Brandywine Heights and the other Berks County schools within it, to provide information that's specific to you as opposed to the trust itself. So very familiar, and I would say I've worked with them to the extent that I can without having to interface directly at the discretion of the schools that we have today.
Okay, so you're essentially saying you've worked with them arm's length because you're hired by other Berks County schools, but you have not been engaged by the health trust directly. It sounds like maybe one of your competitors is leading the charge for the consortium.
So the short answer is yes and no. So just from a kind of an education perspective, a consortium or a trust is not a single entity that's comprised of member school districts. And so the way it's set up is not the same way that our agreement would be with you, for example. As a result of that, they have actually not gone out to market the services of a consultant. They only have a broker. So a lot of the functions that we prepared to talk about with you and the services that we're going to be providing, if awarded the ability to do so, are actually more extensive than the trust. And because they're not looking for that today, we don't have a direct competitor. We have technically more of a broker that just fills product versus does the analytics side.
Got it. Okay, so your positioning is consultant, then broker, to implement or to acquire detailed relationships, where you're saying what they use now is not the consulting piece and the analytics, it's more just brokering.
That is a very fair assumption based on how I believe the trust operates today. Yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that delineation. Can you talk to us about size? So obviously part of the benefit being connected to the health consortium is buying power and insulation from risk. If our claims profile is particularly challenging a year or two, we're insulated some because the other school districts absorb some of that risk or that cost, I guess. I couldn't see, in fact, I need a referral to a chiropractor based on the way I'm craning my neck to see your presentation, Sorry. But no, I'm just joking. But I couldn't see the numbers. Can you just high level, like based on our size? I know how many employees we have, but I don't know how many participants in the health plan we have because of all the family and spousal relationships. You showed, I think, a Lehigh Valley School that had like 300, maybe I caught, members. How do we compare size wise, and what does our size do for us in terms of buying power?
Yeah, well, it's a wonderful question. Thanks for asking it. And so I'll put on my underwriter hat for a second. That's how I was actually classically trained in the insurance business. So there's a rule in mathematics called the law of large numbers, right? And you're really hitting the nail on the head for usually the larger an entity is from an insurable perspective, the more buying power they have from a scale perspective, which makes the risk more predictable. I would say that if we were looking at Brandywine Heights and you were going to ABC Brokerage House, you would be in a position where I would never recommend getting out of the trust. There is buying power there. There is the capacity for you to try to levelize your claims and offset those zombie apocalypse years, right? Where really claims kind of spiral. The enrollment number, to answer your first question, is approaching 130 to 135 members on any one given month from the information that was provided to us from the school district. We have not audited those numbers as we don't have the backup data to do so, but I believe them to be accurate based on what was provided to you from the trust. The secondary component to your ask is from a stabilization perspective. When you work with a consultant that's as large as our book of business is, we create that stabilization within our book. So what that means is, as opposed to you being restricted to the confines of whatever the trust agreement is, you get the same buying power of what the trust provides with our contracts with the carriers, but with none of the restrictions. So as a function of us trying to provide additional clarity to you to know how you're performing comes with working from an independent entity, as opposed to the trust or consortium, which gets all of the data on all of their members and tries to leverage that scale as a singular entity. Meaning, even if you had a great claims year and you outperformed your member districts, you'd never know it because they don't release that information. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. So you're essentially saying our relationship with you helps provide the buying power and entree to the network of providers to give us lots of flexibility and options.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, I'd actually expand upon that ever so slightly to also say that as a function of why we're doing this exercise is because we may tell you not to leave the trust. The data might warrant that. But where we would add additional value to what's being done today is on all the analytics of the reporting, the compliance, enrollment support, education, advocacy. We're not necessarily looking to only save you money. We're looking to do all of those things, but improve the culture around what the health and welfare offerings are today, as well as in the future.
Okay, helpful. So you mentioned cost savings. Obviously, one of the ways or one of the reasons why we're pursuing this is because we're trying to manage ever increasing and sort of out of control healthcare costs. Based on what we're going to be asked to vote for this evening, in the cost section of the contract, it makes it clear, and you indicated that you're pro bono through June 30. And so that's the analytics and all of that good consulting. But it's unclear to me what happens after June 30. Should we continue to want to pursue a relationship with you and go forward? I don't have it in front of me on the contract, but there was language around sharing of cost savings. So can you talk to us more about, today I don't believe we pay for the health trust. Correct? Am I mistaken about that? It's embedded in the trust.
You do pay for the health trust.
Yeah.
It's embedded.
Yeah. So there's no line item in our budget that pays a fee to the health trust for membership or anything like that. In your model, it would be different. We would be writing a check at some future point, potentially, to your organization or to one of your subsidiaries. So talk to us about that, because obviously cost savings would need to offset that. But if you're taking a piece of that cost savings, then it gets a little bit more interesting to me.
Yeah, totally fair question. So let me describe how the compensation model in my industry works, and then I'll kind of talk about why we veer off that to kind of like those Fisher investment commercials, when you do better, we do better type of thing. So there's usually two dominant ways of compensation for brokers or consultants to get paid. One, they get a percentage of the premium you pay. I will tell you, as sure as I am in front of you today, that is the more preferred method by many of my counterparts because, as you had just stated, your premiums go up every year, which means even if they do nothing different, they get a raise for doing exactly what they did the year before. We do not believe in that. We think that that's unfair and unjust to the members as well as the district itself. And so we tend to do what's called a carve-out fee agreement, which is exactly what you have in that respective consulting contract that we provided thus far. We take a flat per employee per month fee, and whether we save you $50,000 or $500,000, that flat fee basically pays for our time. The shared savings component comes in where we have a goal. We would create some sort of target with you to find a number. And in so doing, if we hit that number, we get a portion of that back. It's very minor, 10%. A lot of our competitors do 50 for reference. And the reason we bring this up is because we want to have a long-standing contract with you. The 3-month pro bono agreement was something the district and myself spoke about as a way for us to try to, in good faith, begin working for you, even though our time is worth what you're seeing in that contract. We want to give you the opportunity to feel us out and for us to feel you out, to be able to say, this is a good idea. We should continue to work together, right? So it's that courtship that we're trying to target there to then move on. As Mr. Zablosky actually said when he was asked the question, in his previous school district, we were actually told that we need to find a way to save that district $500,000. We actually ended up exposing almost $4.7 million in savings that we did from this very same analysis with a district that was also in a trust. Now, whether the district acts on those changes or recommendations is your choice. We do not govern those pieces, right? We are only an advisor. And so as such, if you save money, great. If you don't, we understand, but that's your choice. Our goal is to educate and inform, not to force product or process, as we mentioned before. So we keep our fees flat purposefully. And as we continue to try to mitigate cost increases or other programs that would otherwise increase your budget, we feel as though we should be in partnership with you. And so we keep our arrangement even keel throughout the course of our agreement.
Helpful, thank you. Andrew, I have just a couple of quick questions as it relates to in-house. So I think rather than directing them to him, may I direct them to you? Would it be all right?
Yeah.
So in terms of how, while we engaged in this first phase, if you will, through June 30, is what we're voting on tonight, is there an end date of June 30? It feels to me like there's 2 contracts, or that perhaps there should be 2 contracts, where right now it almost feels like it's mushed together. I'm all for, based on what I've heard, getting some help with this analysis, because it's a huge project. It's not our core competency. It's tricky. It's very industry specific. All good reasons to hire experts to help us, and the offer to do that without a fee is wonderful. But should we choose not to go forward, I guess I'm a little bit confused if an affirmative vote tonight requires us to go forward and commit to that fee schedule that he just outlined.
Zach, I saw you were shaking your head. Do you want to give your perspective on that, and then I can give ours?
Sure. Yeah. So the way we envision this contract is actually for this first year. Typically, let me back up. Typically, our agreements are 1 year. They automatically renew. You can cancel them at any time with 30 days notice if you hate anything that's going on. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable working with us, and so we always give you that out, right? But the first year that we're proposing working with you would actually technically be a 15-month contract, right? So we would be appointed starting March 1st to be able to start doing that aggregation work, the analysis, and theoretically start putting together some recommendations or ideas. The reason that you're seeing the 6/1 date was at the request of the district to not have to pay as a function of the appointment from the date of inception, which again is March 1st. So they are the same agreement. The scope is the same. And when we go to the insurance companies, they want to see the appointment date. They don't care when we get paid or by who. So that's the delineation that we put in purposely. But again, at the request of the district. Andrew, if you wanted to comment at this point, please feel free.
Yeah, and so in talking to Mr. Pratt, that's what his explanation was to expect exactly what Mr. Harris said, is that we have that 30-day ability to get out of the agreement at any point, which is helpful. I guess the I think what you're trying to get to, and maybe Mr. Harris, you can help to explain this. If at the end of June, and the employee groups would say, no, we're going to stay with the Berks County Health Trust. At that point, we're obviously not moving forward with the continuing investigation. What happens at that point with the contract? I think that's what you're.
Yeah. So again, the contract is between us and the district, right? So at your discretion, you could say, hey, Zach, thanks for all the free work, pound sand. Or you could say, hey, look, we really like the process. We'd like to continue making certain changes within reason to other programs, i.e. dental, vision, life, disability, voluntary offerings for the employees, enrollment support. Ergo, that contract would stay in place. And instead of us taking commission on those other products, we would stay at that flat fee and still administer everything. My proposal to you out of best practices for the consideration of the board, this and all future equals, is you should have some sort of advocacy role with somebody who does what we do. And why I say that is interpreting and analyzing the data is a full-time job by itself. Forgive me, I didn't see who actually said the last comment, but our core competency is built on doing that work. And so it was a really good way to say, we will find you more than enough to compensate us that flat fee. The part that we typically find where there's a ton of value in the ongoing components is expanding the capabilities of your current administrative team. So instead of having one person, such as an Andrea, triaging 130 people at any one point in time, now you have my team of 6 dedicated people that will do that for you throughout the course of the year. Any line of coverage, in or out of the trust, doesn't matter to us. So that's typically how we work with most of the districts in that capacity.
And that actually is a great segue to my second question, really, Andrew, which is more an in-house question, which is staff inside our organization, HR, business office. Obviously, for these folks to do good work, they need access to our folks and our information. And our folks have to provide that information in a timely and responsive fashion. From a bandwidth perspective, that adds a whole nother project, probably a significant high priority project to their plates. Talk to us about how you manage that, knowing that in theory, folks are already full.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump in here, but Zach, that's all done online. Those forms are sent to the employees to fill out their previous history, their medication, all of that stuff to do the census by the employees. So an individual is not going classroom to classroom to collect teachers. It's done online through a portal, if I'm correct.
I'll actually, if you don't mind my saying so, the aggregation of that work actually is almost entirely pertinent on us. We would actually get what are called authorization letters if the district decided to move forward, and we would actually reach out directly to the insurance companies to pull that. So there'd be no burden on the underlying administrative team whatsoever. Whatever we don't get from the underlying insurance company and or the trust, we would then have to go to the district and say, help us back into what's missing as a result of that. But I can tell you very confidently, as long as I've been doing this, we usually get the bulk of what we need without the district's direct involvement, pursuant to the district, the carriers, I should say, having the correct information on hand, which again, we scrub with the district approval.
So through this investigatory process, Andrea has done a ton of research and has pulled and gleaned the information we could from the Health Trust. But as Mr. Harris said, this partnership will really shift the burden so it doesn't become a district project onto them to advocate on our behalf to get that information from the Health Trust, take it to market, and then come back to us. So it really will actually lessen some of the burden. To be honest, when Mr. Harris sent us, it was small to see the table. Sorry about that, but he gave us a laundry list of all the things that he was looking for. It was multiple pages. And Zach, you scared us a little bit. We were like, I don't know what you're talking about, some of these things. But he'll do that work for us now, which is the nice part. And can go to the Health Trust and work on, if this is approved, work on our behalf to do that. So we're not the ones intermediary which was becoming a little bit problematic. Where someone would ask for something in the investigatory process here, and then we try to go get it, and then we share that with all the other groups, and then the same thing happened. That was challenging, and if we were to be working one-on-one now, we were having to do that. That would be majorly challenging because we don't have the staff capacity to do that. But with him helping us and the expertise there, it alleviates that burden on us, which is great.
Okay.
And
Thank
Zach, your staff is also to say we would move away from the health trust and go with one of the other companies. Your staff helped with implementation, where typically there is some problems of medication and that type of stuff, switching doctors and all that stuff. Your staff can help with those dilemmas.
We take that on hook, line, and sinker. Before it even gets to the employee, we want to be involved with basically helping to look at everything from the contribution modeling of the plan funding itself all the way through and including implementation of open enrollment. So the question came up earlier. I kind of wish I addressed it then, but it's a good segue back to, if we decided not to move forward with the trust, should we decide to stay with you? What's the value to us? It's what you had just said. So the reality is we will find you money somewhere else. Like I'm sure of it. But even if we say you're having a really bad claims year, the stability of the trust is helping you stay there. But here's what we would recommend changing based on the data we have within the trust. This plan design should look this way. That alternate funding can be shifted towards the employees and now be given as salary adjustments, et cetera. That analysis is something that we act agnostic of. So again, through that information perspective, we're acting as the advocate for both the district and the employee simultaneously. Doesn't matter to us what funding vehicle you use.
And I can share, and I'm glad you asked that question, because the customer service clearly came out when we evaluated the other companies. One company pointedly almost said, we don't really want to work with the employees. We just want to work with the district. And their model was very much, we're willing to talk to anybody to help you through that process. And their whole tier approach was develop that customer service. So as transitions happen, they can be there, whether it's the individual or helping the district. I was very impressed with that.
Agreed. Yeah, sounds good. So internally, I know you had a work group or a committee that has been working on this for months and then did this RFP process or however you approach identifying these folks as your recommended consultants. I know you shared it previously, forgive me. Can you just reiterate the nature of that committee, who all's been involved, and then if we engage with these folks going forward, what's your vision, Andrew, of how that committee would continue to be involved and work? I mean, again, from a project management perspective, I see this as very significant.
Yeah.
And from a district impact perspective, it impacts every single employee. It has huge financial consequences. And in terms of the impact, we're dealing with people's health and their personal lives. So, really important, and also really important from a financial perspective as well.
Yeah. So the committee, as we did the investigatory process, was 4 individuals from the union, the BHIA leadership team, coupled with one of the individuals serves as the Berks Health Trust representative from the employee group. So the Berks Health Trust has an employee group representative, and they have an administrator representative. So management, they call it. Mm-hmm. So that individual was part of that committee. And then Andrea was part of that as the payroll benefits individual, myself, and Mr. Sobolowski. So what I see vision moving forward is we would definitely need to get Mrs. Detweiler involved in that process. She's been dealing with the Berks Health Trust, also has experience working with not the Berks Health Trust in other school districts in where she is currently right now and kind of going through this process. So both examples. From a what does it look like moving forward, we're going to continue working as a committee and working directly with Mr. Harrison. So as he gets information and can help us with, it'll be, as I mentioned earlier, almost like 2 parallel projects happening at the same time. The first one is educating our employee sector, teachers, support staff, administrator, on all our employees on what does this look like and why are we doing it and what are the benefits of where you are now, what are the benefits of why we want to look away, so we can truly be as transparent as possible and go through that process. A couple sessions, it'll be the first session, there'll be a lot of questions, they'll follow up with the second session. At the same time, we'll be doing the data component of it. And so behind the scenes, the committee will be working on what should that presentation look like for the education side. And then as the data starts rolling in, to be able to analyze that data component of it too, and understand what that looks like so that we can present that out. And those education and the data presentation to our employees start to, at some point at the end of spring, merge. And that presentation about the data happens May-ish. The ultimate then goal is that the staff feel comfortable in terms of understanding what's happening, understanding their healthcare options, understanding where they are now, what other things are out there, so that they can make an informed decision. And the decision that I speak to is the biggest crux of this whole process is the Education Association. In the contract specifically, it calls out the Berks Health Trust. And so because that's specifically called out, a vote will have to occur with the union members to change that language. If that language is successfully changed, then it would come to the board here, and then we can make you can make a decision of what happens next. That all has to, and that's why I emphasize this education and the data investigation, all has to be as transparent as possible on the back end to our employees, so that they know what's happening. So when they get to that vote, they are truly making an informed decision of what they're voting on, not just a name on a piece of paper. And so the committee, through that process, bringing this all full circle, is working behind the scenes with Mr. Harrison. What does that presentation look like, and what's the data coming in, the results?
Yeah, so collaboration is obviously a tenet, a core principle of this process. And I think we all support that. I guess one of the questions, and I don't have a bias on this necessarily because this is all coming at us pretty fast, but what role do you envision the board playing in a big decision like this? So, for example, we have a compensation committee. That back when it was put together was designed for these kinds of conversations in mind. At least that was my vision at the time. I don't know, if that melds with where we're at today or not. I'm not on that committee. But it seems to me that at some point, there may be some benefit to have some board participation in these conversations. Because ultimately, just like the collective bargaining agreements, it's the board that is going to authorize the hiring of this company.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that idea of having the association involved and partnered with this, it has really been the focus, because that idea of being a value partner and coming to this equal players to the field through this, at least the investigation side of it right now, to where we are today, has been the driving factor. And I think to your point of where do we go from here, that's a valid point to consider as we move forward.
Yeah, it's this combination of benefits offered to help recruit, retain, and reward our employees.
Yeah.
Combined with, we've got to figure out a good way to pay for it all.
Yeah.
So vested interest on both sides. Yeah. Okay.
And just on the negotiation side, when we were negotiating with the teachers and their contract, we did start this discussion and the language surrounding that. So we have been discussing that.
Yeah.
Anything else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
May I jump in with just a comment on the CBA language itself and the role of the board, if I may?
Sure.
Great. So, members of the board, whether we were involved or not, one of the recommendations I would make, which is a core competency of my firm, again, regardless of the line of coverage that we're talking about or the role we serve, is we actually perform what's called a CBA analysis, where we actually go through every class of employee and every insurance contract with every CBA. And we do a risk exposure analysis. And what we do is we provide that back to the district. It's a function of saying, you really have to amend X because your CBA says Y and the insurance contract is a mismatch or some version of that. That exposure is in and of itself something that could lead to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses, right? So very easy example of this, life insurance. Life insurance should be offered to all members of XYZ contract, not to be offered in excess of, and has to be offered at no cost. What it doesn't say in language like that is what the minimum is. And so things of that nature can also, frankly, expose you to, if there's a life insurance event and you're not adequately insured from your group life contract, that falls to the district. Things of that nature, such as writing in that you have to be in the Berks County Health Trust, pigeonholes you. We don't have the ability to open up looking at other places, because the minute you share that with underlying insurance companies, they're going to say, oh, well, we don't represent the trust, so decline to quote. So you kind of start losing the race before you even start stretching, is the best way I can say that. That's one of the things that we want to do in tandem with you, to say, if we're going to go through this exercise and gather all this data, we need to have the ability to make choices fairly quickly. If we're looking a year out, and that notice has to be given on or before June 30th. So just things to keep in mind, that while our role is certainly trying to look at cost containment strategies in or out of the trust, our dominant role is to protect you against yourselves. And if there's a way in which we can do that in the interim, we will give that to you again, still during that contestability period where we're working for free.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you fielding a lot of the questions. I think the question and answer piece was longer than the presentation, which is good because it allowed that really important conversation to occur, so everyone's comfortable. Like I mentioned earlier, if you don't mind sharing the presentation with me, I can share that out with the board then, and we will. We like I said, we have this on the agenda this evening for consideration a little bit later on.
Great. The presentation is in your inbox. Thank you again for having me. It was wonderful to be a part of the meeting. And it's actually, I have to say, if I may, it was really nice to see all the kids getting the awards in the front. That's a pretty cool culture thing that you guys do. And I hope I have the opportunity to see more in the future. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, thank you, everyone. I know that took a long time. But I think it's important investment of time. It's a big decision, and I hope everyone feels comfortable. That was really the goal. It's a lot of investigatory process on our end, but we wanted to make sure that you had a chance to understand what the value was and why we were bringing that firm to the table. So.
All right. Next step, we'll be reading the dictionary from front to back. So moving on to Board of Directors report. Can I get a motion in a second?
All right, Board of Directors report. We have a couple items on the Board of Directors. We have the meeting minutes from the January 12th meeting. Any corrections or adjustments that need to be made to those meeting minutes? We have second reading policies. There are no updates from where we were last meeting. We have those 4 policies that are in front of you. We have first reading policies this evening of compensation plan, job-related expenses and professional development. We did a cross-analysis of what PSBA offer, what PSBA recommends, what any updates might be. At this point in time, these are part of our review cycle, and we are not recommending any updates. They're just an update in terms of we reviewed them, and we'll put a new date as a review date on these policies. We'll put these on the agenda for March for final approval. Item D, E, and F are anticipatory voting items to move Mrs. Detweiler to be the representative for the school board secretary, Berks Health Trust, and Berks Earned Income Tax. Her start date is February 4th. We're very excited to see her. She is here today, but we are very excited for her to be starting in a few short days, which felt like a long time till we got here. So congratulations, and we're excited. Item G is a resolution from the board to approve us to move forward with exploring a grant. And so Mr. Farina has really taken a big leap into jumping into this in terms of grant exploration. He became our pre-K expert. He now is the ag expert, and he now is the HVAC expert. So, Mr. Farina, I'll give it to you.
I will bestow all the HVAC expert to Mr. Molatoris. But no, we are currently looking to pursue the Facilities Improvement Grant, which is offered by DCED, which is the Department of Community and Economic Development. And this is a large grant. This has the possibility to yield $500,000 to the school district with some matching funds on our end. But it's basically aimed at looking at school improvement from a facility lens. The easiest corollary I can draw, if you all recall, a few years ago, the Antietam School District suffered a significant flood. They received emergency services through this grant to remediate some of those flood services. It is not a grant solely designed for emergencies. However, emergencies do receive some of the top priority in the grant. But we are looking to pursue this grant to renovate and replace a lot of the HVAC work here in this building, the intermediate middle school. This was something that did receive some updates when the building was renovated in 21-22, but there are a lot of outdated units here. So we are looking to pursue the full $500,000 grant. A few things that go into this is a facility study, which Mr. Molatoris is currently set up with Honeywell to look at getting not just the facility study, but also some quotes that we would need to pursue this grant. But as Mr. Pottinger shared, a major component of this grant is a resolution from the school board stating that this is an avenue that you would like us to pursue in exploring this grant. So that's why we have that on the agenda for your approval this evening. The grant itself is due, I believe, on March 16th. So we do have some time to complete our grant exploration and application, but again, not all the time in the world. So we do, offer this resolution tonight for your consideration, and I can answer any additional questions you may have.
Would it be helpful, Mr. Farina, for the board to vote on that as a separate item? Or-
No, it wouldn't matter. What we'll ultimately have to upload with the grant application will be the resolution document that's linked here, and then the board minutes that show that it was included in an approval vote. Thank you.
Perfect.
Oops.
Sorry, does
Sure.
that grant more than one grant? Or is it just one person involved?
No, they're I forget the absolute total, but it's in the hundreds of millions. So each school district can only apply for one grant.
Can BCBC go for it?
Yes.
I'm just thinking about them, and I know that they have certain projects that need to get worked on.
Yeah, absolutely. They would have the ability to do that. So we, or as a school district, can only apply for one item. And this is the item that we feel is probably the most pressing need from a facility standpoint at this stage.
And I do want to put a caveat. It is a competitive grant. So some grants are, we don't automatically get them, but there's a good chance that we'll get them. This is a very competitive one. So there's no guarantee at all that we're going to get this.
Correct. Yes.
Except Mr. Farina's phenomenal grant writing skills.
Please don't.
Would it help? Would it help to include pictures of us sitting in winter coats in one of the classes?
It can't hurt.
So that is item G. And at this point, I'll turn it over to you for committee reports, Mr. Wagner.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of quick things. I highlighted Megan Dufresne's recognition for the art piece at the BCIU annual showcase. I want to highlight on December 3rd, the BCIU hosted its first annual Keystone competition. I think this is what Mr. Mark presented last month. Does this make sense? It's the Keystone Challenge around STEM, and the 5th grade team, 5 students named Bullet Think Tank, placed second. Okay, good. So that's that will be documented in minutes again. The key thing on tonight's agenda related to the BCIU is the BCIU general fund budget. Was approved by the BCIU board members at the last meeting, which was held Thursday, the 15th of January. And there's information with tonight's agenda item. I did brief last meeting that the overall increase as it relates to the 18 school districts is a request for a 3% increase. That totals about $24,000. That's split, not evenly, but split or divided amongst the 18 school districts Brandywine's share of that increase is $682. So very insignificant in the grand scheme of our budget. That brings Brandywine's total contribution to the BCIU budget for this area to $23,409. So that's the piece we'll be asked to support. That is a piece of this thing called a mandated services budget. So it's a little bit layered and it can get a little bit confusing. But tonight, the mandated services budget is also something that we'll be asked to support. And I think Dave will probably talk a little bit more about that, perhaps. I think that's the key thing. I do want to just the date for the Annie Sullivan Award Ceremony, which is an annual ceremony recognizing school district staff and teachers and educators in relation to special education excellence, if you will. So Annie Sullivan Awards is scheduled for Wednesday, April 8th at 5 p.m. Because of all of the construction that is now happening at the BCIU main office. Exciting project there. They can't host it on site. So it's going to be hosted over at the Reading Hospital School of Health Sciences. So that should be different and fun. And that concludes my report.
Awesome, thank you. BCTC, Mr. Reitmiller.
BCTC met January 28th at the East Campus. They informed us that they're asking for a 2.9% increase from the 16 sending schools. This is due to software increases, salary increase, and healthcare increase. The current enrollment at BCTC is 2,007 students with 300. Of course, I lost my spot. Sorry. 300 students on the waiting list. Due to the high demand, BCTC is starting to conduct studies to see if it would be a good idea to open a new facility or to start a satellite campus to help with the high demand. February, I can't read my writing. I apologize. February 16th, I believe I wrote here, it says President's Day will be a snow makeup day. March 3rd is the Tech and Talent Festival at West Campus, and March 4th at East Campus. I also wanted to make everyone aware BCTC is always open for us to hold our monthly meetings and to tour their facility. And the next meeting is February 25th at the West Campus.
They were.
Perfect. Mr. Brown, quick follow-up question. So of the 300 waitlisted students, are any of them Brandywine students? And if so, how many?
I will have to go back to you. I think it would depend on when that wait list was calculated, because there's still students right now that haven't heard about their acceptance, and then the students that are currently attending. So depending on where they are listing that wait list from. We have none on our wait list right now, but our applications are still up.
Okay.
We should hear back soon. Usually it's very early February last.
Yeah, once you have the answer to that, would you just let us know, you know, if there are waitlisted students that are in our own district, that would be.
You say we don't have anybody listed right now.
Strategic planning and goals, Mrs. Eisenhart.
The last strategic planning meeting was January 14th with the whole committee, and negotiations keep rolling. Correct. The only negotiations update is that we have the Act 93 agreement on the agenda for approval tonight. And I just want to say again, thank you to my my committee representatives over there in the admin team, Ms. Connect, Dr. Kelly. Sorry. It's always a pleasure to work with you, and we're very, very blessed to have such a great admin team to work with. So thank you.
Building and Construction Committee.
Just a couple of quick updates. The meeting was supposed to happen this week. It got moved to next week, February 3rd. Updates on the high school bleachers. We've been talking about this for some time. There is an agenda item on this evening. Originally, that estimate was around $230,000. We've been able to get that scope down to just over $200,000. So we're really excited to be able to provide that really great upgrade at a fraction of what the original estimated cost was when we went through the project planning process, and then even with most recently the bids we went through. So a lot of work to happen from Mr. Molatoris to dig into that and get the right specs and get the best price for us. So great job, Mr. Molatoris, on doing that.
We almost did like 400,000.
We were, I think it was 350 or something like that. Yeah, when it was first estimated, or 400, something like that. So it's essentially half the cost. Yeah.
And funding wise, it's in the budget?
It is part of the capital fund balance. So it's not in the budget per se, it's the fund balance project, the capital reserve.
Okay,
fund.
but
Yeah,
we've
so
saved for
we
it,
have
and
money
there's
there.
money set aside and earmarked for it.
Correct. Yeah. We will need to do some budget transfers, but yeah, there's funds there. Intermediate middle school exterior lighting. We've been talking about that. Mrs. Walliser has shared some of the safety concerns associated with that. So we've been providing some updates. What we're doing right now is, as the weather provides, which is a little challenging right now, but the exterior lights that are out, we're upgrading to new LEDs. We're also doing an investigation. There are 2 light poles at that parking lot that shine into the street. So we're evaluating, can we put a double head on those so we can shine into the parking lot, capitalize on the poles that are there. So it's like, and I don't say an immediate fix, but an immediate fix. Use our money wisely so we can do a double head, shining on the parking lot and the road, and not have to do a major upgrade with poles. Putting new poles in eventually at the tennis court on that side of the parking lot will be the long-term solution to help to continue to add more lighting. And then that can have a double head as well, shine onto the tennis/pickleball, so that can add some light in the dark in the summer when people would be out there. But that's a bigger cost because you have to run the poles and the light lines and everything. So that's what we're doing right now. And then the wood shop expansion, you're going to see several board agenda items on this evening with some updates, with change orders. We'll go through those in the agenda. But the project is moving along very well. I was over talking with the wood shop teacher, Mr. Schmidt, the other day. He is so excited. He was actually talking about his retirement, and that's going to be coming up in a few years. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to retire. It's going to be a great space. They are so excited for it. We've made some modifications to the plan based off of once construction started. Once we realized the impact that it was going to have on the learning space. So there was a paint room that was initially planned that we actually scrapped from the plan to allow more usage of the linear footage space instead of building another room inside that space. So great stuff happening there. We're excited for that to be in conclusion, hopefully at the end of February. Those are the updates.
Perfect. Any questions? Hearing none, make a roll call, please.
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog,
Yeah.
Mr. Hohenschild,
Yeah.
Mrs. Hearn,
Yes.
Mr. Reitenauer,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser is not here. Mr. Wagaman,
Yes.
8 yeas, the motion carries.
Thank you. Business and operations report. Can I get a motion on the second, please?
Sheets. Second right on.
All right, a couple items on business operation. There are the fund reports that are in here. I just want to call attention specifically to the general fund report. If you have that in front of you or you click on the link, this is a different report. We've reflected on the reports that are available through the CSIU system as we get more accustomed to the system. There were some questions about the report last month, and it caused us to take a pause back. So two things. One, the report that you had before in the description section, if you look at the new report, could only give you 2 line items. And sometimes there's providers like the first one here, American Fidelity, where there might be more than 2. So we wanted to make sure you clearly understood where the money was going and the bills that were associated. So this is done alphabetically. It's not necessarily done by date, but it gives you a very clean list of the vendors that are being paid, what the description of those payments are, and the amount of each payment. So hopefully that is a little bit more user friendly for you as a board to understand where those payments are going for each month. Similarly, there was a conversation last month about the student activity report. There was a misrepresentation, if you will, of moving from the old finance system to the new one, and it didn't carry over the initial balances. So there was a question of why are we showing negatives and what's going on here? That's because the initial balances did not transfer. And so this new student activity account now shows the initial balance, the beginning balance, and then it shows any receipts, money that came in, anything that was expended, the adjustments, and then ending balances. So that student activity account should be much more user-friendly to see, but also reflective of actual balances because beginning balances are in there. That information and the updates have been shared with all the advisors as well, so they have a really good snapshot of what their balances are for each of their clubs. There's no items under pupil special education, pupil services this month, or curriculum technology. Under G, facilities maintenance, there are several change orders I had spoke to earlier. We have a credit from URIG. URIG is our the major organization, the general contractor that's overseeing the entire project. The credit is a $9,800 credit, and that is a reflection of removing the paint room that they were going to build and allowing that. So they're going to take down the outside wall because a new space has been built. That was part of the cost. And then they were going to construct on top, after that wall was removed, a new space that was going to be for this paint room. So we're going to remove that paint room completely to allow more space for equipment and student work to happen. And so that is a credit there. Item 2 is to Vision Mechanical. That is to modify the existing dust collector ductwork and to add HVAC related to the removal of the paint room. So it's 2 things happening there. They're giving us some credit. They're also modifying some of the ductwork because their plan was originally to build this paint room and to use some of the ductwork that was there. We've removed some of the ductwork that was in that space. There was a duct that was probably 4 foot wide. We brought a specialist in that deals with our dust collector system and shared that duct shouldn't be there and really isn't necessary. And so the combination of not doing some of the work as a credit and then removing that big piece that was originally going to stay kind of equaled out to this amount of $973 as a change order. Item 3 is also for Vision Mechanical. This is for $7,817.27. That is to make a new duct. And when the individual for the dust collector came out, helped us with this. We're putting a new really big machine in. It's called a wide belt sander. It's sort of like a planer. It's 43 inches, if I remember right, and it helps to smooth out large projects. You can think of like a table or things like that, and it makes it nice and smooth, almost like a planer, but it's a sander. That sucks in and exhausts a lot of dust. So this is a 14-inch main duct with a 14-inch blast gate, and then there's 8 5-inch takeoffs from that main one that suck that dust out. That is $7,800.17. That is potentially going to be grant funded. So we have it for that big machine I just spoke about. We have a grant to cover that cost. That grant that was covering that cost, we scoped back a little bit. So there's some additional funds remaining in that grant to cover some of this. Additionally, there might be some additional dollars that we're going to be able to get from the state. We're still in limbo on that. And if those additional dollars come in, which would go up to $75,000 in total, then this would absolutely be covered in this grant. So more to come on that, but that's what we're investigating for that change order. Item 4 is change order to Ace Electric. They're the electrical contractor on this project for $7,135. This was to adjust and change out the lighting fixtures that are in the wood shop. And so it is 39 new LED light fixtures, as well as 12 low bay LED light fixtures. That changes all our LED lights out. It keeps all the existing fixtures, adds new light to it, and creates a nice bright space. So that is the change order for that project, which was not included in the original scope. We have a change order from Ace Electric as well, and that is to add a new electrical service out to the greenhouse. And it also allows the electrical service. Sorry, I got mixed up on this one. This is electrical service that they're going to have to draw. This machine that we were talking about earlier requires a lot of electrical capacity. The electrical capacity in the wood shop now isn't enough to run that machine, so they have to pull that electrical capacity from the auditorium to get to the wood shop to be able to run the machine. So because that is connected to the machine, again, potentially grant funded, and if we have that 75,000 and we're able to get that amount will be covered, but we do need to do this change order in order to be able to use the machine that we're putting in place. Item 6 is a change order to Ace Electric as well. That is for upgrade all the technology upgrades connected to the addition. So that's installation of cameras, door controllers, wireless access points. When we budgeted this and scoped this project out, those items were purposely not included because we knew that those projects were the components there were I can't think of the right word, but were specific to the school district because we use a specific type of technology associated with that, with our cameras and our door hardware. So we wanted to make sure that was specific to the project. So that's why that was purposely done separate. Item 7 is a change order that again is to Ace Electric. This includes a credit for that paint room we spoke about earlier, but also has an upgrade to the electrical service going out to the greenhouse. So what originally was scoped out in the greenhouse did not have an upgraded electrical panel, which did not allow for any kind of expansion if we were ever going to do anything else out there. We talked about the grant for the chicken coop, any kind of additional electrical capacity that would be needed in there. What was scoped out was exactly what was needed to run that, and that was it. And so there was no extra capacity. So we enlarged the conduit going out. We put more heavier gauge wire out there, put the biggest panel out there we could, so that way we can expand for future growth. And that's what that change order is. And then item 8 is to approve general recreation to purchase the bleachers I spoke about earlier. At a total cost of $202,300 to replace the high school stadium bleachers that are out there, as well as the tennis court bleachers that are currently on site. That is the wood shop, or I'm sorry, that is the maintenance items. Let me pause there because that's a lot of things happening. Any questions on those items before we move on?
I have just a quick question on process as it relates to change orders.
Yep.
So they're not competitively bid, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So what prevents a vendor who we've already engaged in, a significant contract like that? What prevents them from padding the pricing on a change order request if we're not competitively bidding?
So, and Dean, you can help out any way possible, but there's a couple things at play. One, when there's a change order, there is in the contract an amount that they are allowed to charge in excess. So there's a % markup. There also, at times, and not every time because some of these things are unforeseen, but at times in the contract, there are specifically called out items that would be costed out. So, for instance, there was a change order to Eurig because we hit rock when we were excavating. Often in the contract, and I don't know specifically if that was one, but they'll have a amount per hour if they hit rock, and it would be above and beyond. So that is part of the contract up front. Does it buffer against that padding? I don't know, but at least gives you a number. But in some of these other ones, when you do these change orders, really the advocate for us becomes Dean working with the engineering firm to ensure that is a check and balance of what that cost would be. And then there is, and I don't want to say negotiation, but you can at least challenge that cost if you think it's exorbitant.
I think that's a great part to add, that they do get vetted by the engineer or architect on the job against industry standard, if you will, for the scope of work that they're doing. So it's not foolproof, you're absolutely right. It's kind of the best application you have to guard against any kind of price gouging.
Okay, excellent. So these change order contracts and dollar values have not only been vetted by you and your internal team, but by the engineer and the architect that's part of this project.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item H is to shifting gears completely, is a recommendation to designate M&T Bank as the district local banking. So currently we have a majority of our funds with First Community Bank. We have local funds with currently Fulton Bank. Fulton Bank has been a longstanding partner with the school district. And the relationship has been there for many years. There's been a few things that have happened. Most impactful is that they're closing their local branch. So right now there's a branch in 5th Street and there's a branch in Macungie. They're closing the Macungie one, so we would be traveling out to Emmaus. Obviously not super convenient. The reason we use local banking is for things like food service funds that come in, cash that flows there. We talked about the student activity accounts, cash that flows in and out for student activity accounts. It's those local accounts, it's those local cash dollars that come in and out. And so we're going to the bank to do those exchanges. So we did an investigation to see what other banks were in the geographical local area. Fleetwood Bank, M&T Bank. We looked in the Kutztown area, and we looked at Santander, we looked at Truist, and really the two front runners became Fleetwood and M&T. And M&T, one of the really big selling points is they had no fee for commercial banking, and that wasn't like an introductory offer. That was what they longstandingly do. They're a strong community partner, just like some of the other organizations that we had evaluated, but and they have a bank right in Topton. So the close proximity, the no fees, the community support all led us to the point of recommending that we shift that local banking to M&T Bank for the foreseeable future. And I give Mrs. Nikki Reichert in the back there a ton of credit. She's the one that really coordinated and led that initiative to get us to this point of evaluating the banks and getting us that decision. Item I is the reason we're here tonight. And that is to adopt a resolution not to exceed the Act 1 index of 4.1%. So the Act 1 index, just so we're all on the same page, is an index that is set by the state. There's a state average, and then that's the state, based off of multiple factors, identifies what the individual school district is for all 500 LEAs of what your max tax capacity can be. Ours is set this year at 4.1%. If we choose to move forward with this resolution, essentially what that does is it caps us from going over 4.1%, which I don't think we would exceed that Act 1 index. There's only been a couple of times we've ever done that, and that has been many years in the past. Historically, we've always approved this resolution not to exceed the Act 1 index. It's a one-page document that we would sign, send back to the state, and that would become the official record for the school district. That would be the recommendation from the administrative team. Do you want to add anything, Dave?
No, I didn't think that we talked about Mr. Pottinger that the board was interested in going above the index, which would mean we have to ask for exceptions, which there are very few left. The only other option is to put a ballot referendum together for the primary this spring. We had recommended to go this route earlier. If we do not adopt this tonight, we're going to be in violation, because if you don't adopt this resolution, you have to have a preliminary budget adopted by this same timeline. So we're nowhere close to having a preliminary budget ready to present and send to the state, only because there's so many variables that we'll be discussing right after this point.
And the preliminary budget essentially says this is the reason why we need to go over 4.1% in tax. Again, not something we've done historically. So that's why the resolution is on this evening. Item J is to approve the BCIU Intermediate Unit Mandated Services proposal budget in the amount of $2,200,000 some dollars. As Mrs. Hune articulated this evening, that is the district share of that amount. There's a district share of that amount. That is a small portion of what the BCIU budget is. They rely on a lot of revenue generation. They rely on a lot of the state funding to be able to run things like early intervention and Head Start and some of those other pieces. But it is the districts, as 18 school districts, our share of helping support that. Item K is a direct connection from our presentation we just heard. That is to approve the service agreement with Hillendale Associates that would start February 1st and would be part of the investigation evaluation period through June 30th, 2026. They would be our consulting firm. And then if we would be moving forward, as we discussed this evening, after and that vote would be affirmative to remove the Berks Health Trust language, then we would partner with Hillendale Associates for the next year to really do a deeper dive into the expiration of health benefits for our employees. And then item L is to approve the 25-26 winter drivers. There are a few updates to the driver list. Christ Transportation is our major transportation company, but Eshelman does our BCTC bus runs, and that's why both companies are on there. Any questions on those items?
Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Herzog?
Yeah.
Mr. Hohenschildt?
Yes.
Mrs. Hune?
Yes.
Mr. Reitenauer?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mr. Wagaman?
Yes.
8 yeas, the motion carries.
Mrs. Eisner.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Eisenhart. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Now
Yeah,
it's
8 yeas. Now it's 8 yeas.
All right, superintendent's report. Motion and a second.
So move Sheets.
Second right now.
All right. Under superintendent report, the first item is consideration for me to attend the 2026 Pennsylvania Rural Small Schools Conference. This is the Pennsylvania Rural Small Schools, or PARS, is a board that I sit on to represent the school district. The school district as a collective is a member of PARS, not as an individual, as like myself. We belong as a school district. It's a great conference. I love going to this one. It is a perfect blend of looking at rural small schools and like concerns, like challenges, and then bringing in state as well as federal individuals that can give us and shed light onto policy changes. It's very much a policy-driven conference, and very much driven at that rural small school entities. And I find a ton of value in this every year. So if I can attend that going from April 29th to May 1st, I would greatly appreciate that. From the next couple items, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Farina. We have the first reading of comprehensive plan, and Mr. Farina is going to go through what the comprehensive plan actually is.
Good evening again, everyone. So the 6 items that are up for review right now, the Brandywine Heights Area School District Comprehensive Plan, the academic standards and assessment requirements, gifted education plan assurances, student services assurances, induction plan, and professional development plan are what we are doing a first reading for this evening, and then a final approval at our next board meeting. And then this will hopefully successfully be uploaded to the Commonwealth by March 31st of this year. So just to kind of talk a little bit about this, as Mrs. Eisenhart shared earlier, we are in the process of strategic planning, and we are also comprehensive planning. These 2 plans are similar, but they are not mutually exclusive. So as we're developing our strategic plan for the district, which is kind of our overarching goals for what we would like to accomplish over the next 3 years, we simultaneously complete the comprehensive plan for the state. The comprehensive plan is more of an academic compliance tool to ensure that we're following all of the mandates of the state, that we have all of the things in place that we're supposed to have. So embedded within that strategic planning process, we ensure that we go over all of the comprehensive planning pieces. And that's what I'm sharing with you this evening. And that's what hopefully we will be uploading to the state on prior to March 31st. And I think the easiest way to think of it from a nutshell is the comprehensive plan does not look at all at facilities. It does not look at all at student life. It doesn't look at athletics. It doesn't look at communication. If we were to develop a plan for our school district that only focused on academics, we would be missing out on huge core demographics, right? When we're looking at how we operate fiscally, how we operate for our students outside of the classroom. So that's where the strategic plan is more of a holistic view. And this comprehensive plan really looks at those compliance pieces. So that's what we'll talk a little bit about this evening. As I shared, a major component of it is instruction. We have to ensure that we have written curriculum for all of these areas. This is just a snapshot of what some of those areas are. The state does not ask us to upload curriculum documents for all of these areas. We do share some exemplars of what our curriculum documents look like. We talk about what our process looks like. We talk about how our teachers are evaluated. And then we also give an assurance that all of our teachers are teaching, or the subjects they are teaching, they are properly certified to do so. That does also include teachers who are serving on an emergency permit. That does grant them that correct certification. The second piece looks at induction. The Commonwealth in 2023 developed a 2-year induction plan. So we created a 2-year induction plan at that time. And this is a continuation of that. We look at how our mentors are determined, how all of the components that are embedded in there make sure that new teachers are given the support they need to be successful, and then an evaluation of that plan. So Mrs. Connect, who does a tremendous job with the induction program, she looks at every component with this. As we went through strategic planning, the committee looked at this induction plan, tore it apart, and ensure that it does hit all of those requirements of the state. We also look at professional development, as we talk about every year, as the IU shares that ever increasingly deep book about mandated professional development. We have to show how we hit all of those PD goals. So that is a listing of how we manage structured literacy, how we manage ethics training, how we manage Holocaust education for teachers who teach that subject. So we discuss how all of those things are met. And then we also show that our professional development is aligned with observation data. When we get into the budget section of this evening, one of the things I'll talk about is frontline solutions that we utilize for a number of different resources, but we use that for our teacher evaluation piece. That creates a report for us where every evaluation done by the administrative staff, it pools it and looks for commonalities. So we know that this is an area of strength for our teachers and this is an area of growth for our teachers. That's a component of the comprehensive plan that we share with the state, where we're seeing our teachers needing additional assistance from a professional development lens, and where they are excelling. We also complete a needs assessment. The way the comprehensive plan is written out at the state level, that needs assessment is done by looking at your academic data on Future Ready, your PSSA, your Keystone data. We take it a step further. We look at all of that data. And as part of the strategic planning committee, we put out a survey to our community last April, had over 340 respondents to that. That data from that survey also gets embedded in that. So again, recognizing that the comprehensive plan is very academic in nature, these are some of the items that we notated as strength that I just want to point out here. That when we look at elementary and intermediate middle school students, when it comes to mathematics, we are above the state average on students who scored advanced. So we are eclipsing the state for students who are scoring advanced. We have been talking for years at the board level and at the building levels of looking at mathematics. And this is something that we are truly proud of, to see that we are seeing those gains. And then hopefully that will continue to grow as the students grow. Our English language arts was second in the county out of 18 school districts. And our high school Keystone for literature was also second in the county. Our fifth grade math had the highest rate of proficient and advanced students for 2 consecutive years. So this year and last year, fifth grade math did a tremendous job on the PSSA. We exceed statewide performance measures in attendance. Attendance is something that every school district looks at, right? But this is something that we do incredibly well with. And I do think it's worth pointing out. It's not as glamorous as a Keystone score, but we do eclipse the state average and the state goal for attendance. And we do that as well for career readiness standards. So all of our students throughout their time here have to complete a number of benchmarks on career readiness. And we exceed the expectations for the states on students who complete that. That is a great deal of accomplishment by our school counseling team. They work with students at all levels to make sure that we're hitting those benchmarks. And it is something that, as part of the strategic plan, we are focusing on as well, that we're meeting the needs, but how do we take that a step further? And when I present on strategic plan to you in about 2 months, I'll share those pieces with you. The challenges. So we look at the good and we look at the bad. One of the areas that we viewed as a challenge was we saw a dip in our third grade ELA proficiency this year. This is an anomaly compared to how we typically score on third grade ELA, but it is something that Dr. Kelly and her team have been spending a great deal of time and effort on this year. But it is a challenge, and it is something that we want to address in the comprehensive plan. As I shared the positives that we're seeing at the ESIS and MS in mathematics, we are still seeing that our algebra proficiency on the Keystone is lower than the state average. So we are working with our algebra teachers, but we're also showing as our strength in math is improving at the younger levels. That will also pay dividends when those students get to that higher level math. We also have noted that special education and economically disadvantaged students continue to score lower than the whole student group. So when we look at standardized assessments, these 2 subgroups in particular are not scoring on par or on average with our whole student group. So as we talk about the great deal of focus that Dr. Kircher puts on with special education students and the support we have in our community for our economically disadvantaged group, we want to make sure that we're not just supporting them outside of the classroom, that we're supporting them inside the classroom as well. And one of the areas, and Dr. Kircher will go into much greater depth about this later when we talk about budget, is that our identification rate for special education continues to be above the state average. But when you really peel that apart, about 18%, 17 to 18% of our newly enrolled students last year and this school year are entering our school identified as special education students. So we're seeing as students are entering the district, that identification is already there. So a student being identified special education is not a mark, it is not a negative, but it's a reality of servicing that student, making sure we're meeting all of their needs. But we do see a significant number of students enrolling in the district who are already identified as special education. And when we look at our kindergarten registration numbers, we're seeing on average about 8% of our incoming kindergartners have been identified by the IU for early intervention and early IEP services. So again, it's not a negative, but it is a reality that our school district is facing. And we want to ensure that we're servicing all of our students so they can meet the needs that they need for a successful life. So as we look at the challenges and strengths of this needs assessment, we then say what our action steps, what our focus is going to be. So what we're doing is we are focusing this comprehensive plan on high quality professional development that looks at data-driven decision-making. So as we talk about what the secondary schools and Ms. Kelly is doing from that targeted school improvement lens that we've discussed a few times this year, making sure that we're looking at how our students are achieving and we're putting those supports in place for students who are not at grade level expectations. We're also ensuring our professional development hits on resource utilization. Again, when we talk through the budget piece, we put a lot of capital to our resources. and our resources are well vetted, they're research based. We want to make sure that our teachers are comfortable using those resources to their full extent to help our students. And again, as we talked about our special education students and our economically disadvantaged students, we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of diverse learners in an inclusive setting. So we're ensuring that each year of this plan, there's professional development geared at diverse learners and how we can meet their needs. And then lastly, that cyclical and ongoing administrative review of achievement data, making sure that our principals, myself, Mr. Potiker, Mrs. Connect, we are reviewing where our data is taking us and making sure that the steps we're putting in place are accurate. So, you know, we've seen some successes in the academic realm, as I've noted prior, but we want to make sure that those are continuing. And in the areas that we're seeing as challenge, we start to see those challenges turn around. So that is ultimately what we are presenting to the Commonwealth as part of this comprehensive plan. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have. Okay. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah,
sir?
I was just saying, you want to talk about the computer technology?
Sure.
curriculum?
I also have for your review this evening our first reading of our K-8 computer technology courses. This is an exciting piece because Mr. Ryan Noggle, who is, I believe, a third-year teacher for us. Yes. This is his first hand at writing curriculum. So these are major revisions. He took the existing computer curriculum that was taught by Mrs. Krumenacher for years, and he has completely revamped it for the needs of students now. And these curriculum documents, I think, are really worth pointing out that we know how much artificial intelligence is impacting our children's lives. We know that our K-8 students, they're below the age where they can say, yes, I check the permission box for AI. But we also know those students are using AI. So embedded within this curriculum are tools and strategies, much like we always talk about digital citizenship, which is also in here, but making sure that students understand AI content, what is real, what is not real, things to be aware of, internet safety. So that is heavily embedded within this curriculum. So he did a tremendous job putting those pieces together. So we have the first reading for those curriculums here. Typically, I present more than one subject area to you. What would also be up at this time would be health and physical education, but we are not rewriting health and physical education at this time because the state is developing new standards, which should be released in 2 years. So we opted to keep our curriculum the same until those new standards come out. The health and physical education team feels the documents as they are good to ride out the storm until we get those new standards. Would you like me to skip D and go to E, and then we'll go back to
So
D?
D is the FBLA state competition. It's an annual event. It is the state competition. It's in Hershey, PA. It's April 12th to the 15th. At this point, it looks like there will be approximately 7 students, 3 staff members, and the cost is $250 per student. This is a great event. It's a great opportunity for the students. And so we'd ask, since it's an overnight field trip, for your support for that field trip. Item E, Mr. Green.
All right, item E. So this is an exciting opportunity for the school district. Every year, we approve an agreement with Kutztown University for reading interns, where we have 3 reading interns who come in, work with our intervention team, and support students 3 days a week as an intervention specialist, and then 2 days a week they sub in the building. Kutztown University is developing a special education certification program that operates identical to the reading specialist certification program. And what they're looking to do is then place special education interns into schools. What they have shared is they will be moving forward with this program, whether they receive the grant or not. But this letter of support for the grant would show that we would like to be a partner for them in this grant. If they earn the grant, it will defray our costs. Because as you're aware, every year when we approve the reading interns, there is a cost associated with that program. So we're getting support at a much lower rate than if we were to hire a teacher to provide those services. This would be the same for special education. So whether they receive the grant or not, as I shared, we do look to move forward with special education interns, but this grant will help because it will defray our costs as a district. But in the meetings that Dr. Kircher and I had with Kutztown University, we would be able to take these students who would be certified teachers in a different subject area, who are pursuing special education certification, and they can assist with a wide gamut of services for our special education students. And this could also then reduce some of the additional contracts that we have to pay for services for students, because we would have more staff to provide those services. So again, is a cost to the district, but at that intern rate. So we're excited for this opportunity with KU, should you be in support. Any questions on any of the maybe 90 things I just presented?
Nice
you.
job.
Things. Item D, the FBLA piece, Mr. Jinich.
Yes.
So 7 students for FBLA, that seems like a really low number. We used to send like 30 and 40 kids.
Well, I think a big piece of that too is just the students that participate in the state competition. It is of the students that finish first, second, or third. They then are offered the opportunity to go. The students are also involved in other things. And so this year we had of our students that placed first, second, or third, and 7 of them were attending. And so I think sometimes too it's an enrollment issue. But then, based upon we had over 20 students competing. It was the 9 students that finished in the top 3 that had the eligibility to go to state.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And then just interesting that we need three chaperones.
No, also
They're
good
great
point.
folks and they do a fabulous job, so they deserve to go. But when you look at the math,
We're in a piece of transition right now where our FBLA advisors will also have some new staff members. And so this is an opportunity to bring the new staff members along to kind of show them the process. We actually talked through it being probably a higher number of teachers than I would typically say, but I wanted them as a department to have the experience.
fair enough. Thank you for clarifying. And then on item A, I think there might just be a little typo. It's saying, Andrew, for your conference at a cost of $305 per blank. The word night, I think, or per something, per day, per something.
Per superintendent day. Per superintendent day.
The bill is attached. It shows you the conference registration.
Yeah, there's a link.
It just shows this.
Oh, so the
Per this agreement, that's the cost.
okay, so that's the conference fee, not the travel expense.
Correct. Yeah. So to your point, I guess it probably should say and travel expense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Excluding travel expense or something like that.
Yeah.
Or just clarify that that's conference fee. I read it as $305 a night at a hotel.
Yeah. Fair. Fair.
So
Yeah.
just clarify that on the minutes. I think we don't have
Okay.
to redo
Perfect.
the
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Hohenschuld,
Yes.
Mrs. Hune,
Yes.
Mr. Reitnauer,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog,
Yes.
Mr. Wagaman.
Yes.
8 yeas, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Mrs. Herzog is double meeting it and
That's
still
good.
able to respond. Good job, Mrs. Herzog.
Earpiece in or something, huh? Personnel report, motion a second, please.
So move sheets. Second right now.
All right, a couple items under personnel report. The first one is Mrs. Gina Berto Weller. She is moving on to a different position. She had a wonderful job opportunity that came across her table and has decided to take that opportunity. She's been with us for about 1.5 years now, has done a phenomenal job in the world of communications, in supporting me. I'm sure I know in a couple of meetings you've even mentioned, Mrs. Hune, that the increase of social media presence and some of the things we've been able to do with Canva or bullet newsletter, just a ton of great enhancements that you've brought to the table. So thank you for everything you've done, and we do wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you guys. And I just wanted to say you can't get rid of me for like 14 years. My son's in his first year of pre-K. So I'll be around.
There you go.
Make sure you attend meetings and heckle us.
Yeah.
That'd be really
I'll get to sit on the other side.
Or volunteer.
Yeah.
There you
Yep. I'll be around in some form.
And then likewise, a change of status. So Mrs. Andrea Hartline has been the payroll and benefits specialist and expressed interest in moving over into this role. I feel she'll be a perfect fit for this role. In fact, as the transition started to come to light, Gina had shared, she's like, I feel like the stars are starting to align. This is the perfect segue. So it's a great opportunity for continuity within the office. I think it's going to be a great transition plan. I believe Andrew is going to be a great fit and partner for myself and be able to help continue the office functions moving forward. As a transition plan, we will be looking at what that payroll and benefits position looks like in the future. We are waiting purposely for Mrs. Detweiler to come on board. We can analyze some of the holes that are then in the business office, as well as some other district needs, and kind of reevaluate where we need to be with positions, and then hopefully have a recommendation to the board by the end of February, March timeline. That would be our goal. But we want to allow some purposeful transition time to happen, so we can really uncover what we need to do and have Mrs. Detweiler's input into that. So be a little patient with that. And during the meantime, Mrs. Hartline will continue to do the payroll because that is a key function of the school district every 2 weeks, as you can imagine. So we're going to carve out time for her to do that while she's still supporting my role. There also is this evening the approval of the spring athletic coaches recommendations. There are a couple athletic coach recommendations on there specifically for baseball, middle school and high school, as well as softball. Some of those big positions that were open, the recommendations that Mr. Pinelli has put on there. He actually had to step out to go to another athletic event, but he has spent purposeful time going through that interview process and making these recommendations over the last couple of weeks.
Nice to see track.
Yeah,
Film.
a full complement of staff for track too.
Yeah,
which is,
middle school and high school.
yeah, which is especially as we start our own team here, which is wonderful.
Nice to see.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, I know.
Literally.
Quick question, Mr. Pottinger, before you move off this document. So the high school esports in the recent past, if I remember correctly, we didn't have enough interest to warrant that coaching position or that mentoring position. Do we have enrollment this spring for high school esports?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a sense how many kids?
We'll circle back with you. I can add
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Just know somebody. We just know somebody wants to do it. Yeah, no, I mean, it's cool that we have it.
Yeah,
It was
but it
disappointing to hear that it wasn't being enrolled. And therefore we didn't need a coach. Now we do need a coach, which means there must be enrollment. So I'm just curious about what's changing and what that wave looks like.
And then at one point we hired a coach, but then didn't have enough students, and so we backed off on that. So I'll find out how many students. I don't know.
Middle school is now up in there, so I can think of 6 off the top of my head that were middle school students that are participating now.
Sounds great.
Under leaves, we have the extension of an employee to continue sabbatical leave, and that will occur through the end of 25-26. We have the approval of the Act 93 compensation plan. This is a big agenda item. Our Act 93 administrators are a phenomenal bunch. I feel so blessed to be able to work with them, and I know I've shared with the board and publicly before. They are the ones that really keep the connection between the board and the policy and the procedures connected to then implementing that to support our students and our staff and our community. And I'm blessed to be able to work with the team I have here. So lucky and very appreciative of the board coming to the agreement with the Act 93 for a 4-year agreement that will provide some stability for that group for the next until 2030. Anything you want to add, Mrs. Eisenhart?
No, just I shared with the rest of the board some of the changes that were made, and you can see we made the document a little more user friendly. So I think that'll be nice. Everyone likes the outcome.
And then the final piece is I'm recommending that we adjust the board stipend. So part of the role for attending the board meetings and the secretarial duties and all those components, there is a $100 stipend that's connected to that. It was typically associated with the specific role, but at times there's been other people that have floated in and out of it. So we thought it'd be better just to approve it as a stipend for doing the role instead of connecting to an actual person or a role. And we evaluated the stipend, and I'd like to recommend that we move that up $50 to $150. So that would be my recommendation.
And at the length of our meeting, that equates to about $1.75 an hour. So that
There you go.
cha-ching, right?
$1.75 more an hour than you're getting.
That's right. It's true. That's true.
Put as many bids as you want.
Is there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Hune,
Yes.
Mr. Reitner,
Yes.
Mr. Sheets,
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Herzog,
Yeah.
Mr. Hohenschuld,
Yeah.
Mr. Wagaman,
Yes.
8 yeas, the motion carries.
Any other questions or comments? Old business, new business?
Oh, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So back to the whole lunch situation where we have a $20,000 debt while they're $20,000 debt. Can we reach out to the other 18 school districts and see where they lay? 'Cause I know we're like the smallest in the county, so I'm assuming they have a substantial higher debt than we do with the lunch problem. Question 2, can you explain how lunch works? Like we purchase money from a vendor. Do we make any money when we sell our lunches, or do we just like charge them what we get charged?
So yes, I will give. I'll provide an update to the board about the lunch debt, where we are, some next steps, where we currently stand, and some of the positive momentum we've received in paying off that lunch debt through the initiatives and strategies. So I'll provide that to the board, and I can try to get some comparisons of where other districts are as well. In terms of the revenue that's generated from the food service program, the food service program is really driven at a break-even model. It's not driven at trying to increase a ton of money or over. It's not a profit-driven organization. It's actually the only budget within the school district budget that's separate from the general fund. So everything else that we pay for is part of the general fund. Food services only standalone item. So what we do need to do though is we do need to cover the salaries. We need to cover the equipment that might have to be purchased to keep the place running. Of course, the food commodities going in and out are part of that as well. So food commodities, staffing costs, staffing and benefits costs, and then equipment. In the past, the board has taken money from the general fund and inserted it into the food service fund to keep the food service afloat. If it doesn't keep, it has to be equal. So if it's not, then the general fund has to come in and support that, or to support paying for equipment. It's done that as well. But that's the model. Mr. Slabowski, how did I do?
Very good.
Okay, thanks. Anything you want to add?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. One quick thing, there used to be a report every month in our board packet that framed up what the budget versus actual for the food service fund was. And I was just digging through to show it to you, and I can't find it. So I don't know if that's because we've changed the format of some of these reports recently or what, but historically, every month we could see exactly how that fund was doing. What budget versus actual was. And then at the end of the school year, once, a month later when all the bills came through, we would be able to see exactly whether we would break even or a little bit above or a little bit below. So I don't know what happened to that report, but I would certainly think that would be.
There's an expenditure report that shows the cost going out, but not compared
Yeah, it's
to
expenses, but
budget.
there used to be a one-page budget, actual versus budgeted, and then variance. If you dig through old
Yeah,
meeting
I know
minutes,
exactly
you'll
what you mean.
find it.
Yeah.
Well, with the new victim coming on board, we could. I mean.
How do I say this? If you have a student that doesn't have the funds to buy lunch and they chose not to buy lunch, does our like faculty say, "Oh, Johnny, you got to go buy lunch no matter what," or do we have like a rule with that? Like, do we make the kids buy lunch?
So that's a difficult question to answer because there's multiple factors that come into play there. If there's a student that does not have funds to purchase lunch, we still are obligated to give them a lunch by law. So if they don't have lunch, then we will give them a lunch. If they go through the lunch line, there's not enough money in their account, they will still get a lunch. Okay. We're not allowed to give an alternate meal. In the past, you would give like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. You can't do that. You can't discriminate or say that it's a different lunch. Whatever the lunch is that you're paying for, if I can't afford it, it's going to be the same meal. You can't go out and get the chips or the ice cream or the extras, but you can get the main meal. The reason it's hard to answer is if a student doesn't go through the lunch and it doesn't have a lunch, a student's not necessarily forced to go get a lunch. So if they choose not to have lunch or choose not to eat, it's not like you can't force them to go eat either. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to take a moment on behalf of the Act 93 group. Dr. Kelly and I want to thank you, the Board Negotiations Committee and the School Board of Directors for your positive working relationship that we shared throughout the development of our new agreement. We truly appreciate your time, your thoughtful consideration, and your collaboration and commitment to working towards together. We thank you for your continued partnership and look forward to the next 4 years together. Thank you.